What is going on, party people? It is I, Fumincho, and today it is time for my long overdue discussion on the final episode of Beastars. This episode was really good. Too much surprise. I really enjoyed it. Just fantastic direction, fantastic animation, fantastic score, and the dialogue was sharp and witty and great. Just a lot of great moments in this episode as well. All in all, it was a great final episode. The tease at the end, I feel like, was just like a super wink to all the manga fans, to people that have, caught up on this series. I didn't quite get it. I don't really know what's going on. Blood supplements, possibly, but I don't know who's doing it. Is it Bill? I don't really know. But it was exciting, and it was fun, and it just felt really good. A really good final episode. Now, the nitty-gritty in things. The direction choices that they made I felt were very sound. The split screen stuff that they were doing, they've done this in previous episodes. They've been doing it since episode 1, but I feel like it was just extremely well implemented here, especially the last sort of, final act of the episode on the staircase, having Haru, running away from Legoshi, just doing a lot of split screen stuff there. Really worked, and honestly, I was watching it, and I kind of thought, like, I don't want to see this scene in any other way. And that's a really good testament to just how well this series is directed. Like, I can't imagine this scene being directed better. Having this split screen, actually I think it was a horizontal split, just worked extremely well in conveying everything that Haru was saying and how Legoshi was reacting and vice versa. It just worked extremely well. Also, the dialogue in that scene in particular was just shockingly good. Legoshi's sort of monologue there, how he's willing to go through the darkness for Haru, I enjoyed quite a bit. I think there's a lot to hold on to there. I think that's the sort of most we've gotten out of him since the beginning of the series, to be real with you. I mean, he's talked quite a bit, but this is the most he's ever really expressed himself regarding love or even another animal, and it just felt really impactful and really important for the rest of the series, to his character and everything, and I really enjoyed it. I love that sort of moment. It felt a little cliche, felt a little like shoujo, but it worked. It worked, and I think this series, honestly, at this point, needed a little bit of shoujo, needed a little bit of a sort of romantic feelsy type of episode to get an audience member like myself to understand sort of where Legoshi's coming from when, falling for this character, falling for Haru, because, I get that it is, an instinct, a primal instinct within him that, you want to eat her, but there's obviously something there, and in this episode, we sort of saw that something, if that makes sense. The beginning of the episode sort of suggested that as well. He doesn't want to take advantage of her. He doesn't want her to show affection and love him out of guilt. And that's something that's extremely, relatable to real life things. That's not how we want to be loved. That's not how we want to give love. And I thought that scene was handled quite well. I thought that last week's episode, it felt a little rushed and felt a little weird, and it was kind of paced weird in a way, and I got a lot of criticism for criticizing that, but in my opinion, it felt that way, and I feel like they sort of alleviated that issue here. Like, no, there's actual levity here. These are still people. It's not just a scene to get you all riled up or anything like that. It's actually well put together, I should say, and I thought it was just a really good cap-off, and I like how there was a little bit of a recap as well. I like how there was that moment where, like, oh, we see what has happened, and now we're in bed together, and now there's a moment to be shared, and that moment was unfortunately spoiled, but spoiled in a way that worked within the confines of the series. I also really enjoyed Juno in this episode. Juno is a character that I haven't really fallen in love with, to be honest with you. I actually sort of dislike her. I think that her writing feels a little shoddy in some areas. Some storylines feel a little bit rushed with her in regards to her, chasing after the Beastars position and Louis being gone now. I don't really know what that means, and I'm sure that that's something that will happen in Season 2, or at least will be discussed shortly. But I feel like in this episode, Juno actually, I sort of saw her perspective a bit more. This episode, in a way, like at least a quarter of the episode was told through her perspective. And I liked that. I liked sort of getting to know her more as a character. And I sort of liked the stairwell scene, her sort of sniffing on Haru and everything and sort of making her mark, saying that, hey, like, I'm gonna fight back, you think you own Legoshi, like, just watch me or whatever. I sort of liked that. Got some, like, Heather's vibes, got some Mean Girl vibes. Thought that was really horrible, shallow comparison, but I thought that was a really well put together scene. I felt like that it was needed between those two characters. I'm curious what direction that sort of rivalry goes in the future, or if it's even there at all. Maybe she's sort of accepted defeat there. At the end of the episode, we see her that, she's by the lamps and everything, and then she looks at her classmates with sort of a face of admiration, like, hey, like, maybe I got all I need right here. I have these friends that actually care, that were willing to, put Legoshi on spotlight and and sort of surprised in that way. Like, they actually cared about my opinion. I'm just a first year, so maybe she's sort of reeling back a little bit, realizing that, like, I'm just a first year, you know, maybe I shouldn't be chasing after this guy just yet, you know, he's a third year, and you know, I'm still new at this school technically, and you know, this is just all my perspective, you know, I don't know if that's actually what she's thinking, but I think that could be a good direction for her character to go, and maybe she realizes these things, or maybe she doesn't, maybe she continues to chase after Legoshi, maybe she gets violent, I don't know, but I really like the sort of setup of her character here. I hope that in the manga, or, you know, in the second season, of course, that we get more light on her, because this was the first episode that I really actually enjoyed her character. I thought her character was very entertaining. She added a sort of edge to this sort of relationship between Haru and Legoshi. There's a lot happening in this episode, but I really feel like that this is a Haru and Legoshi storyline, a sort of story arc, I should say. This entire episode is really just about them, and I think that is really needed, to be honest with you. We see a lot of fantastical things happening, you know, from the beginning of the series, him grabbing her, and then her eventually being captured, and there's a lot of stuff that was sort of unsaid, a lot of stuff that was sort of left in the air. Even at the beginning when they were setting up for the festival, he was mentioning that he had something to say to her, and she knew sort of what he wanted to say, but was scared of that fact. It is finally said in this episode in a way that is just extremely satisfying. That scene at the end of the episode was just so, again, as I mentioned, impactful, but so needed. You know, as a reader, as an audience member, you know, things have been a little rushed in this series, I should say. Things feel a little stilted here and there. There's some parts that are missing. There's some development that I feel is missing. And I'm not fully caught up in the manga. I don't know 100% what exactly is missing and what exactly needed to be there. Maybe the manga is this way. Maybe I'm just making a criticism of the large sum, but the anime has rushed some storylines, I feel like, especially the last like 4 or 5 episodes. I feel like that they could have elaborated on some things a little bit more, elaborated on the relationship between Haru and Legoshi, or more so just Haru in particular, on how she feels towards Legoshi. But in this episode, I got that. This was the episode that I've been waiting for, I guess. You know, I've mentioned in previous, videos and previous, reviews of talking about this series that I want to see an episode that is focused on Haru, not her getting captured, not her being loved on and touched or whatever. I just want an episode where we see what's going on through her head, through her mind, and we got that in this episode to a full extent. It is a little, like, again, as I mentioned, shoujo-y and a little trite here and there, but it just felt comfortable, you know, it felt like, okay, like this, I get this, you know, she actually has feelings towards him, and there's something there to grab onto as an audience member, I should say, and I liked it. I really, really liked it. So I think when talking about a final episode, it's kind of hard not to reflect on the rest of the show, and I gotta say, Beastars Season 1 was quite good. It was actually fantastic, I won't lie to you. It's been a really, really fun, entertaining watch. There's been some episodes that I've been absolutely blown away and think it's some of the greatest anime this year, and there's been some episodes that I haven't really enjoyed, and episodes that I felt that were a little bit rushed, especially the last like 2 episodes. It's really only the last 2 episodes that I felt just a little janky, and I know, I've been criticized about talking about it. I'm sure, if I rewatch it or when I read it, I get a better understanding of things. Maybe I'll appreciate those episodes more. But all in all, it is a good series. Just first and foremost, the animation. I truly believe that Orange has set a new standard. I mean, in this episode alone, the final episode, there's this scene where they're on stage, or where Juno is on stage, and she's dancing, and it's extremely fluid. It looks incredible. The lighting is great. The camera shots are great. But not only that, on top of it all, you have characters dancing in the background of her, which I know for a fact is extremely difficult to have multiple characters moving at the same time. An isekai series, or other series where there's like a CGI horse going through a town, everyone is frozen. There's just characters sitting in a crowd, or characters that are walking around that just look hideous. They look frozen in place, or they don't look very fluid, or they look super janky. But here it just looks so fluid. It looks so natural. I do believe that there are like different kinds of technology that's being used to animate this series. I think some of this stuff is actually motion captured, so that might be an unfair comparison there, but it really goes to show how good Orange is now, how much work they put into this series in terms of the animation. And not only that, the direction as well. The direction in this episode is some of the best of the entire series. To make dialogue visually stimulating is extremely difficult for an animator to do, for a storyboarder to do, but they did it. They truly did it. That staircase scene was just, my heart was so warm, and it just felt so it just was everything that I wanted it to be, as I mentioned, and that's difficult. And again, Orange just stepping it up. And again, it's not just that scene, it's been mostly the entire series. There's been so much dialogue that has been just beautifully animated and just so well thought out and so well. The camera shots, just the beginning of the series when Tem is running from the Predator, going through the stairs, the lighting, how everything is so dark, him rolling down the stairs, like, it feels like I'm watching a motion picture, and that is a feat that not a lot of anime studios can put out. So just glorious. In terms of production, I think this is easily one of the best shows this year. I know Demon Slayer came out this year. I know Attack on Titan came out this year. Attack on Titan is one of my favorite series of all time, but I just feel like I haven't seen an anime like this. I haven't seen an anime that has pushed the standard this forward, and it's just incredible. It truly is. You know what, now that I mentioned the beast that was chasing Tem at the beginning of the series, I'm starting to think that the tease for the second season was actually the beast that killed Tem. We don't know who that is. I believe it's somebody we know for sure, because, you know, Legoshi knows this person very well, but I believe that that's what they're sort of alluding to, which is extremely exciting, which is really, really cool. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, that's just going to be my theory there, but I thought it was interesting that they sort of set a scene up where we see the memorial site for Tem, and then at the end of the episode we see someone taking blood supplements, which I believe that's what it is. It looks like a package full of something, maybe some drug that we're not aware of yet, or maybe it is those blood pills, but wouldn't that be crazy if it's like Jack or something? Jack killed Tem. Like, that would hurt my heart. It would truly hurt my heart, and I don't know, or maybe it is Bill. Bill is sort of my pick for sure. I don't think it's Legoshi. I don't think it's like, I don't think it's going to be that silly of a plot twist. I do think it's going to be a bigger reveal where it's like, oh, this is an actual player in the game, where it's like, oh, he's affecting everyone. I don't know. It's cool. It's really, really cool, and I kind of hope that my theory is correct. I don't know. But as I was mentioning, you know, praising the series and all, the writing is where it is really all at. I think that this is a very imaginative series, but Itagaki, the mangaka, has sort of crafted a very realistic world as well. There was a viewer by the name of Elliot that commented on my episode 10 review, mentioning sort of like a lot of the themes that are at play. We had a pretty big discussion actually, and I really, really appreciate not only your viewership, but also that comment that you took the time to write that, about the themes at play, and it's sort of how this series as a whole, you know, I believe that this was actually the mangaka's intent, was that it was about male and female, and how male really are predators towards female and have to fight those urges, and it wasn't exactly based on race or you know, different species in that way. It wasn't as on the nose as I once believed as a viewer, and I'll be honest with you, that comment really sort of, it struck me, because it made me analyze the show in a different way, and it made me sort of appreciate the show on a different way as well, because I did read up more on Itagaki as an author. I did read up more on her viewpoints and everything, and it's quite fascinating, to be real with you. It really is. I think that there is a message in this series, and it's not on the nose. I don't think it's like entirely like the beast are men and the herbivores that's women. It's not exactly as black and white, but there is definitely something there that is meaningful. There is something important that is being told in this series, and it's something that is unfortunately relatable in some cases, and also something that, you know, as people, I feel like that we have to kind of understand and pick through. And I think that as a whole, you know, I'm not going to try to sound smarter than I really am, but as a whole, I think that is important storytelling. I think that is sort of what makes the show good in a way. I know it sounds a little trite in a way for me to say that, but it's I don't want to overanalyze anything, but I think when you go into a series and just watch it and just have a good time, you're going to have a good time. But if you focus in more and think about it more and sort of analyze it, you can appreciate it on different levels, whether that's the themes that in the undertones, or just something that you didn't quite spot in one episode, like, hey, by the way, these characters dancing back there, or hey, this thing that happened in the alleyway, it actually means this, or someone taking these blood supplements, is it really that? Like, I love being able to do that, and I love being able to talk to you guys about that stuff. I know I've been wrong a lot. I know I've said some things that maybe aren't correct in a way, and, you know, I'm just talking about the show with you guys. You know, I'm not trying to be the official review for this show. That's never my intent. I don't want to be like, this episode is factually bad. It's just my opinion. You know, I'm just expressing myself, and to those that do understand that, and to those that will argue points, but not in a very rude way, actually just argue points because they're passionate about the show, I appreciate you. I truly do. Covering this series has been very, very enjoyable. I'll be real with you. It's not about the views per se, but it's more so the comments. The comments have been so fun to read through, especially yours, Elliot. Again, if you're watching, thank you so much for taking the time to write, because you wrote a lot, and I read a lot, and I wrote back. I made sure I wanted to give a proper response because, there was a lot there to read through, and thinking about it more and more, I'm starting to agree with sort of, her themes more and more, and especially this last episode. I feel like this last episode really sort of solidified that theme quite a bit without being, pushed and shoved into our face. I think that there's meaningfulness there, sort of observations there that need to be made. So all in all, this is a fantastic series, and I highly recommend it. If for some reason you're watching this and you haven't watched it yet, do yourself the utmost favor and watch it, because there are some things in this anime that have never been done before. I guess that's sort of the selling point in my book, is this pushes the medium forward in a new, exciting way. So yeah, and it's also been great covering the series. It's also been great reviewing it and making these videos. It's been a really good time, and I appreciate all your viewership. If there's anything that I missed in the final episode of Beastars, let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there's a bunch of things I missed, but let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about that staircase scene between Haru and Legoshi, that sort of confession there, that sort of monologue that Legoshi gives off. And where is Louis, by the way? What is going on? I was expecting a tease, because obviously I got spoiled that there is a second season coming. That was all over Twitter, but I didn't know like how they teased it. I was thinking as I was watching the episode, like, oh, we're gonna see Louis at the end. He's gonna be like shooting all these guys or whatever, all the people that cornered him or whatever. He was gonna be killing them all and be like, now it's time to, I don't know. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I was expecting some Louis, but no, he's nowhere to be found, and that's kind of scary. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit. Don't spoil it, just like a little bit. Like, hey, like he's coming up soon, or I don't know. Anyway, speaking of future stuff regarding Beastars, I'm gonna read this manga. I'm actually gonna read it. Normally when I review series, especially series that get second seasons, I don't like reading the manga because it kind of takes something away from reviewing the anime. But with Beastars, if it's going to be paced the way that it has been, I feel like that reading the manga would add more to the review, if that makes sense. And let's be real, that second season's probably not coming for a while, so I think I'm gonna read it. If you guys would be interested in like a live read through where I just read it with you guys, let me know. Or if you want like chapter reviews, I was thinking about doing like a sort of read through. I just like read through chapter 1 through 15 and talk about that. 15 through 30, talk about that. Just do like separate videos like that. Or, I could read the whole thing in one go and just review the entire manga. I'm not quite sure yet. I don't really know how to structure manga reviews. I've never done it before. Let me know what type of content you would like seeing regarding future Beastars stuff. I do have some other ideas regarding Beastars as well, anime comparison to the manga, and maybe even some fandom, but I don't want to say anything, I don't want to promise anything, but that's a possibility. But I do want to talk more about this show because, again, I think it is an important series. I think it is an important, it feels different than other anime. I don't know. That's the main sort of thing that I got from it all, is this is a different anime. The first episode gave me that vibe, and the last episode gave me that vibe. It feels different, and different is good right now in this sort of slew of all the schlocky shonen and schlocky shoujo. It's nice to have something that is very, very different, but also very, very real and relatable in some ways. So yeah, it's been a good time. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed anything that I had to say. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, please be sure to subscribe for more content like this. If you enjoyed my discussion on Beastars, I'll probably be talking about Beastars soon, and also other anime stuff. I don't really know what I'm going to be watching next season or what I'm going to be talking about next season. Feels sort of like an end of a big arc on Fumin Show, so I'll have to figure it out as it goes, but I'll definitely be talking more about Beastars and probably other crazy anime or manga in the future, so look forward to that as well. Also, gaming stuff. I'm a gamer. I talk about games. Spacer's Choice, you know that. Subscribe for that as well. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Fumincho Tweets. The link to that is down in the description below. I'll probably be posting some updates on what I'm going to be doing regarding the manga there. Also, just random other stuff, what games I'm playing, or if I'm going to be streaming on Twitch. You can follow me there. Speaking of Twitch, you can follow me there as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is probably my last video of 2019. That's crazy. 2020. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year for this channel, for anime, for video games, for like everything. So thank you so much for giving me the privilege to talk about this show, to talk about many shows and many video games and just many topics with you guys. It's never really been hugely successful, I should say, but it's always been an absolute pleasure. And that's what's most important to me, is that sort of, that give and take, you know, uploading and then getting a response, even though small, getting that response, and that's what fuels me. So I want to thank you guys for that. It has been a great year on this channel. Didn't quite hit 2K, but we shall see. The year's not over yet. Anyway, again, thank you for watching, and until 2020, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.